to Community Podcast here at Condor Online. I'm your man Chase, and I haven't been here for a while, but I'm back, and I'm back here once again with someone from the community to kind of just have a one-to-one chat with, find out a little bit about you and everything. So I'm here with the lovely Roxy, and she's a radio presenter from Calon FM. Calon FM in Wrexham.
A lovely Welsh word for you.
A lovely Welsh word. See, she's going to teach me a lot of Welsh today and everything for Calon FM in Wrexham.
Yeah.
Where your show is called
Roxy
on the radio.
Yeah.
Nice. Right. So, I thought Roxy had an interesting story to share and tell and everything like that. And I thought it would be nice to kind of get a little bit more into Roxy right about now. So, Roxy, I understand that you, as a presenter, mainly you deal with music and stuff like that, where we're here at Condor are more of a talk radio, and you found that kind of different and weird or different and interesting.
I didn't find it weird. I can talk for Britain, believe me.
You know what? She can. Believe me.
However, music is a passion, and music can change people's moods and lift people's spirits. So what I chose to do for my show, because I had carte blanche really, what I wanted to do, was play music and requests for people and just play good music and help people through their week, really.
What I thought was interesting about that was because, you were talking about how really into it that people will get when you will give them shout outs.
Yeah.
And stuff like that, because your show, you're kind of tied into social media as well, because you follow what's going on with your show on Facebook, don't you?
Yes, I do, yeah.
And everything. So you like to kind of communicate with your audience, and if they give you a song that, hey, can you shout this out to me and all that. And you told me a really interesting story about that. Why don't you tell me that again for everybody else?
What, with the people listening?
What the guy you with the shout out thing?
Well, basically, people love to hear their name mentioned on the radio, and they love to hear a song, and they message me while I'm on air. They can message me on my Roxy on the Radio Facebook page, and I actually made a guy cry the other day. That's in a good way, because it was his 50th birthday. He's a regular listener. He listens every week. And he asked me for 3 in a row, which was a little bit cheeky.
It is a bit cheeky.
But hey,
2-hour show.
I was like, do you know what? He listens every week, and he's 50. So I played some songs for him. I played his 3 in a row. I gave him a shout out, but then I played a song that him and I both love, which he wasn't expecting afterwards. And then he messaged me to say he was crying. Tears of joy, he said. Thank you so much.
What song was it?
The song I played at the end was Fiction Factory, Feels Like Heaven.
Nice. And so, so let's talk about a little bit, go into the origin story a little bit about getting onto this radio, because, it's out in Wrexham, and everything, and you said you did the radio before you did university.
Yeah.
So, tell me how you found out about the radio.
It's a bit of a bizarre story, really. I was working as a temp at the local council offices, and we used to get inundated with emails, as you do at work. And one day I saw this email, and it said it was learning at lunchtime, some courses that were on in the lunch hour at the local library, and it said how to produce a local community radio show. And I thought, I've always wanted to do something like that. I'll go along and see what they have to say. And basically they were talking about it, but they were really looking for volunteers for the radio station, because it's mainly staffed by volunteers. It's community radio. And they asked me what I wanted to do, because there were people there that wanted to do research and stuff. And I said, I want to present. And they were like, really? How do you know? I said, because I wanted to do it for a long time. And then I sat in on someone's show, then I co-presented, and then I got my own slot.
Wow. So was it a pretty fast climb?
Depends what you call fast, really.
All right. Well, I sat in somebody's show, and then the next hour I was doing my own. No. Or I sat in somebody's show, and then next week, That's what I meant by fast.
No, it wasn't in an hour. It wasn't in a week. It was probably a few months.
That's not fast at all.
Well,
So are you trying to say that they had to give you training and everything? So
I use training term loosely because it was kind of that does that and that does that. Oh, by the way, I'm just next door if you need anything and you're live on air. And he's like, oh, I'm live on air. So yeah, I think you kind of develop yourself, you develop your style, which they've actually said to me recently, you sound so different from when you started. I'm imagining that as a compliment.
yeah, of course. I mean, were you saying that you were scared or nervous or stuttering?
Of course. No, I wasn't stuttering. I think.
Oh, that was just me. Sorry.
As you know, I can talk, but as soon as you bring the mic up, you feel that you have to have something valid to say, if that makes sense.
Well, that's very interesting how you're saying that, because it's like everyone has something valid, but they don't believe it.
Exactly. So all of a sudden, when I was co-presenting, I was fine, but all of a sudden, on my own in the room, and doing the producing side as well, it was a bit, what am I going to say? What have I got to say that people are going to find interesting? And that was initially, whereas now I just go and play music and try and lift people's spirits, really.
So, I mean, like, so there's a bit of confidence building when it comes down to presenting, doesn't it?
Yeah, I think so.
And, like, people usually have to find that confidence in themselves, do you think? Or?
Yes, absolutely, I do. I think even if you really want to do something, you have to take that first step.
Yeah.
And then you kind of start going down the path, don't you? And other doors open, which is what's happening with me, especially now. Yeah.
Well, you know, I started out on college radio, and I can tell you, like, my first experience, what happened was they put me on Saturday mornings, right? You know, why? Who's listening?
Maybe that was why they did it.
Right. But then, so I have all the boards and the knobs and the switches like you're talking about. But, you know, like, you know, there's also that accident that new presenters usually make, where it's like, you know, you're talking and the mic is still live. Yeah. Or, you know, you make a mistake and you curse.
No, I haven't done that. Thankfully, I haven't done that.
Yeah, I have, but I stayed on Saturday mornings for a while.
How long? How long was your journey? Was it fast?
Faster than yours, I guess. I made those mistakes, didn't make them again.
Exactly.
But no, I mean, it is that thing that people have to deal with, is what I'm just kind of like saying, isn't it? It's like the nerves and all that kind of stuff that you go through. So then you said that, like, while you started on the radio and you were on there, you then decided to go back to university.
Yeah, it's a bit of a long story, this one, but basically I was going, the radio shares a building in Wrexham with the BBC, and it's also on the university campus. So the radio station building is used by students and lecturers, and students are encouraged to use the facilities and have their own show as part of the learning in their creative industries. So basically, the studio editors kept saying to me, why don't you come to uni? Because I was closing a business at the time and I wasn't really sure where I was going with things. And having a lot of grief looking for work locally and all of that kind of thing going on. So they said, why don't you come to uni? Yeah, it's tough. It is tough. Why don't you come to uni? And I was like, I'm not academic and I don't think I can afford it. So that was about 2 years ago. And then things went on and a lot of things happened in my life, but this is going to sound a bit of a cliche, but the main catalyst I think was my best friend of 30 years died last May of cancer, aged 54. And I literally went home from her funeral and sat on my couch and thought, what am I doing? That could be me tomorrow. And that might sound, again, like a cliche, but it wasn't. It was real, and that could be me. I've always been creative. I've always wanted to do something with music. Wasn't allowed when I was growing up, and then other things happen. You know, you get married, don't you pay the bills, work to pay the mortgage. So I thought, well, why don't I just go and investigate going to uni and see if I can afford it.
So can we go back a little bit further then?
Where to?
Well, here we go. No, because it was interesting how you were saying about, you know, your parents, and which is like didn't like kind of like go into your creativity and stuff like that. You know what I mean? And I just thought it would just be a little bit interesting, like people who may have had that experience, is like growing up and everything. You know, it's like, were you always creative?
I think so, yeah. I mean, I started writing from about the age of 8 or 9 because we had to write a poem for English class. and it just flowed out. And from that moment I just kept writing everywhere. I've always been dancing and singing in the garden as a child. I must have driven the neighbours mad, and one neighbour said to my mum, you really need to send her to stage school. I know a lady. So then I decided I was going to be a famous ballerina.
Wow.
And I went to ballet and tap and won medals and stuff and really loved it. But I've always loved theatre, dance, the stage, the whole thing. And I love musicals. I think really that's what I would have loved to have done. I've gone into musicals. But I started ballet quite late, about 11, which is quite late. Most kids start, as little kids. And then I did dance.
So you weren't as flexible as the others?
I wasn't what, sorry?
As flexible as the others?
No, I wasn't as supple. No, not really. And then I was chosen to go to Ballet Wrexham in London. Our tutor chose she chose a couple of people out of the class to audition for Ballet Wrexham, but my mum wouldn't kind of let me go and said she couldn't do the journey on a Saturday, my two sisters and stuff like that. So there was always things kind of in the way, and then I decided I was going to be a rock star, as you do.
Roxy the rock star.
And I decided my poems would make good lyrics. They were full of teenage angst, these poems, I have to say. They were a bit doom and gloom.
Yeah, I know about doom and gloom, yeah.
Yeah, it's not like that anymore, Martin, but in those days it was. But you write about what you feel deeply. It's an emotion, it's what you know. You write about what you know, what you've experienced.
Exactly.
And that is emotion, so especially in poetry. So I kind of did a couple of solo recordings in a little local studio, and then I really wanted to be in a band. I didn't want to be on my own. I wanted to be with some guys.
Have you ever been in a band?
Yeah, well the producers that did my 2 recordings rang me, I'll never forget, it was a Sunday lunchtime, and said, we've got a band here looking for a singer and we've played them your tape and they're leaping around and doing cartwheels and they want to meet you. And I was like,
oh yeah.
So I went to meet these guys and I became their singer.
Really?
And we were together a little while. And
so what kind of singer were you? Were you the kind that had like the tambourine in your hand or the glass in your hand? You know what I mean? Like, you know how it is. Rocking out.
No.
I'm just asking, yeah.
I was the kind of singer that would have the tambourine in my hand. Because that's about the only thing I can play, unfortunately.
Oh yeah, just keep the time with the band.
I've always wanted to play the piano, but I've never been that lucky. So we wrote together, but we used my lyrics, and they were great guys, and we had a saxophone player as well. So it's quite different. We did a couple of gigs, and
what was the name of the band?
Suddenly I Stopped.
Suddenly I Stopped.
Which is a good old 80s name, really. There were a lot of bands called like Finish the Story and stuff like that. And that is a line from a Cure song called The Forest.
Oh really?
And they were really into The Cure, so hence the name,
yeah.
Which I wasn't really impressed with, but I got outvoted.
I was thinking about Suddenly Last Summer, but that's just me.
Sunday Last Summer?
No, Suddenly Last Summer.
Oh, Suddenly Last Summer.
Don't you remember that song?
No.
Oh, okay. Great song. So much she doesn't know.
Okay.
How long, so why did the band end?
Because I moved to Shrewsbury.
Your parents moved you to Shrewsbury?
No. I fell in love with one of the band and we got engaged and he got offered a job in Shrewsbury.
Oh, so you both left?
And I really thought that was it because he came to my parents' house one day to pick me up and we'd been dating for about 3 months. And he just seemed a bit on edge and he said, I've got something to tell you. And I was like, okay. And he said, I'm moving to Shrewsbury, and my heart just dropped because I knew how I felt about this guy. My heart just dropped into my shoes, and he went, and I want you to come with me. I was like, where the hell is Shrewsbury?
How old were you?
I was about 19, and that's what happened. So we moved to Shrewsbury. My family were still in London.
Oh.
Yeah.
So that was part of your journey away from
that's what took me away, really. I think if he'd have said, I'm moving to Timbuktu and I want you to come with me, I'd have gone, okay. So he was the bass player in the band and we had a lot in common.
Yeah, those bass players.
Oh yeah.
Bass players always get the girl.
Do I?
I don't know.
You just made a statement. You must have,
I did make a statement. Well, usually it's the bass player is always the one with the long hair and out front, doing looking cool.
Have long hair.
Really? Well, strange.
He just had a lovely personality.
Didn't he?
Yeah, he did. And he
So
understood, he got me, which a
Yeah.
lot of people don't, even now.
Yeah.
But he did understand.
How long did that last then?
Oh, 7 or 8 years.
Oh, that's alright.
Yeah. So that's what took me to Shrewsbury, and then I've kind of lived all over Wales since then. Welsh Coast even, that was fun.
Ooh, the Welsh Coast, never heard of it.
It's cold. What do you mean never heard of it?
Tell them American, we don't know Jack.
Didn't you know Wales had the seaside?
Who? No.
You're serious?
I am, actually.
That's a little bit scary.
What, that I don't know the Wales?
And you just said I didn't know anything.
Huh?
Oh? Yeah?
What do you mean? What are you
I'm going to turn this round now and interview you. Anyway, I've lived on the Welsh coast and it's very beautiful.
Sounds beautiful.
It is lovely, but it's a bit cold.
Is it?
Yeah.
How about the sunsets?
Gorgeous.
Really?
Yeah.
And
So I lived,
sunset over the
I
West
lived
Hills.
near Llandudno, in a place called Deganwy.
I know Llandudno.
And I lived Prestatyn as well.
Keep talking. I'm sure somebody understands.
They will definitely know. I'm sure people from Liverpool will go to Prestatyn.
Why? Is it like anywhere near the Lake District or?
No.
I've heard of Prestatyn actually.
There you are. And Rhyl, you must have heard of Rhyl. That's
Oh yeah, of course, Rhyl, yeah. Oh wow, Rhyl.
Prestatyn's next to Rhyl.
Oh yeah, I know
And then if you
Rhyl.
keep travelling, so from here, if you keep travelling, you'll go Prestatyn, then Rhyl, and then you keep going, you'll go to Llandudno, where there's the
And
Great
then,
Orme and the cable cars and the
Mhm.
connection to Alice in Wonderland and Lewis Carroll and all of that.
Wow, nice.
So yeah, it's good.
Yeah.
It's lovely. But again, you move to these places and the work is scarce and a lot of people retire there.
It sounds like you made your own work because you did a lot of self-employment. It sounds like. You know.
Yeah, I did. Yeah, I had a holiday let and I had a B&B more recently near Glencerriog. That was really great. I really enjoyed that.
Wow. How does a young girl who is like taken from London to go off running with the bass player from a band, aspire to do so many different things and everything? It sounds like you are a survivor. Or...
I guess I am. I do see myself like that now. I don't think I always have, but if a chance or an opportunity comes along, especially as I've got older, in the last couple of years I have changed so much.
Right.
Confidence, everything. I barely recognise myself. In the last year especially, uni has given me a lot of confidence creatively because obviously the lecturers are there trying to kind of instill confidence in you and you need to practice. So I started going, hey, I'm a student, I want to come and work with you. And people are really sort of responsive to that. They kind of want to have you on board, I think, because of your enthusiasm as well.
Enthusiasm is the main thing. And also
And passion.
Enthusiasm and passion.
Drive.
Okay, enthusiasm, passion, and drive.
Absolutely.
Absolutely. All right. Sounds like you have it all.
I do. Well,
That's what I
kind of.
just said. And everything,
Yeah.
It's amazing. We talked about where you are and where you came from. Where are you going?
Where am I going? Everywhere.
See, look at that. I like that. Because what I like about that is that, like, you're not stopping and saying, I'm at a particular age and I have to settle down and I have to, do this. You're from what impresses me about you is that, you want what you want when you want it. And, like you're willing to grab these opportunities. Because just like you were telling me that you've been on Cologne FM, another opportunity came along with this Reggae Airways. You want to say a little bit about that?
Yeah. So I've been doing Calon for probably about a couple of years, and I met a lady actually I sold her something on eBay, and I actually sold this lady. I sold her something.
Okay, yeah.
And she came to my house to collect it. I didn't know anything about her, obviously. She just bought this thing on eBay. And she came with her husband to my house, and I really liked them both. And we just got on like a house on fire. And I had no idea she was a DJ at this time or had done radio and all of this kind of thing. So we became friends, and then she knew I was doing the radio and she listened, and she gave me a bit of constructive criticism a couple of times, which I took on board. And then I remember one day she said, I did a show about colours. I don't always theme my shows, but this particular week I decided I wanted to do a show about colours, the colour of life, the colour, how you see life, how colours affect you, what colour would you say your life is right now. So everyone was requesting loads of songs, you know, Purple Rain and all sorts of things, like everything you can imagine. So she put a message on my wall after that to say, wow, what an amazing show. And I was, really? And she absolutely loved it. And then she listened to a few of my shows, and she recently has offered me a slot with Radio Airways, which is online, and I'll be starting with them probably in the next few weeks. So what colour is your life right now?
Oh, it's pretty black.
Oh, that's really sad.
No, because I was actually listening to a song the other day, and it reminded me how much I love that song, and it's Black Velvet. And I don't know who the woman...
Alana Mars.
That's who?
Alana Miles, I saw her do that live.
Alana Mars, okay.
Alana Miles.
Alana Miles.
Black Velvet. I
Black
saw
hair.
that live. Yeah, I saw her do it live. Yeah.
Man, was she amazing. I saw that the other day, and then when you were just talking about the colors, that's the first thing that came to my mind was that song. And Black Velvet is like, so it's not bleak, it's black. It's just like, because Black Velvet is like that whole silky, strong, kind of thing. Like, do you remember Black Velvet paintings? Well, see, I'm from the hood, so, when we used to have they were naked paintings. But they were surrounded by Black Velvet. So,
okay.
Psychedelic.
But it's funny though, because so people were when I did my show, they were saying, oh yeah, Purple Rain, Mellow Yellow, someone came out with all sorts of songs.
Mellow Yellow?
Yeah, all sorts of songs from across the era. And then Marion actually, from Radio Airways, she messaged me and said, can you play Karma Chameleon? I thought, what a great choice. How clever is that?
Yeah, it is.
Because it's got all the colours in it. And I love that song as well. So yeah, music means a lot to people. They can be taken right back to a time, a situation, an experience by a song.
I totally get you. I mean, like the show that we had here on Condo Online, which we want to bring back, called The Crate Seller, where, vinyl is really, because it's so retro for people, you got these vinyl shops and you got these vinyl scroungers going to like boot sales and everything else like that. You pull out a vinyl and it's like, oh my God, the vinyl itself, the pictures, the songs, the needle on the record, all of that takes you back.
I'm from that. That's
well,
how
yeah,
I grew up.
me too. Yeah, no, exactly. That's why I wanted to have that show where people can actually share their experiences around vinyl and the music and where it took them and what it meant to them, what was their first, digging in the crates and all that. Yeah, so that's why I'm still looking for that kind of stuff.
We used to spend all our money all our wages on vinyl, and then you actually felt like you had treasure because you get it home and there is the gatefold sleeve, there's all the lyrics, there's extra photos of the band inside, and then there might be extra tracks or, sort of hidden tracks. Do you remember those? Yeah. Where technically the record would end, but then if you left it on the stereo, these are the times where, of course, the stereo, the needle, like you just said, and then it would pick something up.
It's kind of like a gift that they would give you for buying the album.
Yeah, but now, I obviously I stream and I do lots of things because of radio, but I still like to hold something in my hand, even if it's a CD. If I love the artist or the album, I want to own it. If that makes sense.
No, it makes a lot of sense. I mean, because again, like you just said, that's kind of like the period where we come from, but it's that tangible media. It's that thing of holding something. It's like, for me, it could be comic books. It's like that thing of holding it and looking at it, reading it, as opposed to, I know it's so accessible with digital nowadays.
It's not the same.
No, it's totally not the same. Totally not the same. But that's why we wanted to be able to, do a show around that where people are feeling that same thing of tangibility, and like having people come in and then you talk about like their favorites and all
Their
that.
memories.
It's so much better than Desert Island Discs, for example. Like what vinyl would you take on a desert island? Because that's very hard to pick. Like what is going to be my top 5? But you can pick your top 5 favorites that mean something to you. Like
It's
that's
incredibly
all.
difficult to pick 5, isn't it?
No, that's what I mean. I mean, as a desert island, it's hard to pick, but it's not hard to pick your top 5 like songs of memories. Do you know what I mean? It's not hard to say. Yeah. So I remember, like for example, those house parties, where everybody's all gathered around the room. Somebody's trying to sit in the seat, with some girl or whatever. The lights are down low. Somebody's at the wall, ready to turn on the light. But you're putting on, like say, like the Fifth Dimension. Do you know what I mean? You're putting on like those kind of songs that go a little bit longer than 5 minutes, bro. You know what I mean? Because I'm looking to be kissing right about now. Do you know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So, but that's the vinyl experience. It's not like that whole like, press a button and, just play something, now 100 or something.
Yeah.
You mean?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, so no, I totally get it. I don't know if I went so far off topic. But, what is the show about again? Right? Either way, it was lovely talking to you there, Rob.
Thank you.
And everything. I hope that you enjoyed the experience. And then you can understand, see, this is what presenters are about. It's all cool, isn't it?
Yeah, absolutely.
And stuff like that, so did you have a good time?
Yeah. Did you?
I had a See, she got this laugh on her. Anyway, I'm Chase, this is Ross, and you've been listening to the community podcast here on Condor Online and everything, so we out.